week's edition of the DC Life. I'm your host, Sal Mika. I got my co-host, CageMinds.com, Micah Frankel. Micah, how you doing today?
I'm doing wonderful. It was a fun Sunday to wake up early and watch some UFC from Croatia.
Definitely. We'll touch on the UFC Fight Night 86, what Micah's talking about from Croatia. He'll give the quick results. And then we also got to cover UFC Fight Night Teixeira versus Evans. We got to talk about Glory and Invicta fighter that they just recently signed. We were just talking about that off air. But first, I want to talk about the big fiasco locally, and it is a big fiasco because it seems to be affecting somebody, good, bad, or ugly. Holly Holm, her management versus the UFC, aka Dana White. It was announced last week, UFC 200, Miesha Tate versus, no, not Holly Holm, but Amanda Nunes. Thoughts?
I was right.
Yes.
First thought, I was right.
Yes, you were.
Sorry about that, but it was the right fight versus what the fighter wants. Miesha Tate says, I won by stoppage. I should not have to have a rematch. Let's forget 3.5 rounds. My Hail Mary was caught for perfection, and I won. I am the champion, and I want to move forward. The UFC, I'm pretty sure Dana White was very inclined to go with that notion as to already having the verbal battles with Lenny Fresquez. I felt that they wanted to move it forward to stick it to them, especially because they felt, and now looking at it, you feel that the Cyborg offer was a huge fight. You win that fight, you're right back in title contention. And right now, Holly Holm sits in kind of a limbo, looking further down the division as to where names like Liz Carmuth, Sarah McMahon, Valentina Shevchenko, and Lauren Murphy would be the people that I would think is next up for Holly. Unless this weekend, we'll talk about it soon, but Betch Kohei isn't actually against Raquel Pennington. So Betch wins, that's a possibility, but everyone in the top of the division is booked. Leslie Smith jumped over. Leslie is not even ranked, I believe, and she jumped Holly for the fight that Holly should have taken, I guess now in retrospect. But I almost... in hindsight, I can't go back to the other day when you heard Fresquez say, no, we don't want that. We want the rematch. I can't blame them for wanting the rematch. They were up 3 rounds to 1. If Miesha falls off the back, Holly retains, and still.
Rick Wright of the Albuquerque Journal first reported last week that got comment from Lenny Fresquez, and Fresquez said it was the UFC, a.k.a. Lorenzo Fertitta, who he's been dealing with, saying that it was Miesha Tate who denied the Holly Holm rematch and wanted to go in another direction with Amanda, who's ranked number 4, according to the UFC rankings, which don't hold any water whatsoever. I don't even understand.
Won 5 out of her last 6 fights.
I don't even understand why we have the UFC rankings, but that's another debate for another time. Holly Holm is ranked number 1. Do I think she should have got the rematch? Well, look at UFC 200. We talked about it off air again. UFC 200 is turning into UFC Part 2, meaning the second fight for Diaz McGregor.
Let me fix UFC 200. I think it should have been UFC 200 Revenge. We want our revenge. Conor wants Diaz that bad. Okay. Well, let's also do Condit Lawler. Let's do Tate, Holly. Let's do Sanchez, Pearson. Let's get some close decisions or some rematches that would be highly intensive and put them all on the card if we're going to do a whole rematch fiasco.
You have Aldo, Edgar.
You have Aldo, Edgar. You could have put a whole lot of close rematches together on the card if that's the way you want to go. But they kind of went that way, but then kind of went a different way. I think that still personal feelings get too involved in their overall view of making an event.
Well, I know Fresquez doesn't do business with Dana White. He handles it with Fertitta. And if Fertitta is the one that said this, then I gotta believe that's the way it really was. And of course, Miesha's gonna say she's not gonna back down from anybody. Maybe she won't. But I tell you what, her management company probably shut it down. I think she would have made. I think it's a mistake. I think she would have made more money rematching Holly. But it could have been a one and done for her.
You never know. There's a big risk, and the UFC's just biting their nails because you had the rematch, Holly versus Ronda, and we know they love Ronda. And I'm telling you, there is no way that Ronda Rousey it comes back before November, December. They were looking at the rematch with Holly Holm, big money fight. Well, we lost that. The rematch with Miesha Tate, now the third part. I guess that's the next best thing. If Amanda Nunes wins, we lose that, and you're looking at Nunes versus Rousey, and there's no storyline, there's no drama, there's no desperation to see it from the audience. It's just another fight at that point. It's parity for the women's division, but without Superwoman or a dominant figure, how does this division stay afloat and stay popular is what they're worried about.
Not with Amanda Nunes. I mean, you got non-celebrity media members in mixed martial arts and combat sports have more followers than she does on her social media.
Exactly. That's why they lose the division and they struggle to keep it afloat if she wins.
And to say that Miesha is going to be the draw for them, she's not. She's not for UFC 200. Is she taking the top spot? I don't know. They haven't even said. It's kind of weird that UFC 200 is right around the corner, and they're not saying who the main event is.
I'm sure the main event's going to be Conor and Diaz.
But they haven't even really announced that as the main event.
It's because if John Jones touchdown OSP next Saturday quick enough, there's your main event. Jones Cormier too, and Conor has to take a backseat to John Jones.
And then everybody else falls in line?
I think so, and I think that would then put Miesha and Amanda as the third from the top, and then you have the inner, or actually, it would probably go Jones Cormier, and then Conor and Diaz, and then I feel like it would be the featherweight title, and then the women's title ascending in weight class, because we're talking about light heavyweight to welterweight to featherweight down to bantamweight. And probably then the heavyweight fight with Velasquez and Brown kicking us off the main card.
That'd be awesome. Way to curtain jerker right there.
Right.
Somebody's going to get knocked out.
Hopefully.
Real quick, where does Holly go from here? And is it her management? I think Lenny has guided her very, very well and made money for her up to this point. And I still think he's doing a good job. I think she wants to stay active. I really believe it's her that's running the ship. I think they present her with certain things, and then they say, hey, this is what do you want to do? And I know she wants to get busy again. There's no way. Again, I'll say it again. When she got beat to shit by that girl in the boxing ring at 66 Casino, she had no fear getting back into the gym, getting back in there, working out, and stepping right back in with that girl and avenging that loss. This lady does not fear Cyborg, does not fear Ronda, definitely doesn't fear Miesha Tate. That showed her toughness. I don't care. I know the world didn't get to see that, but let me tell you, when you get that knocked out, and through the ropes the way she did, that could mess with somebody's psyche all the way around. Look at Ronda. Ronda's still recovering mentally, physically, from the ass kicking she got from Holly. And Holly got it 10 times worse inside the boxing ring and came back even stronger. So I don't think it's Lenny so much nosediving Holly's career as much as Dana White said on ESPN radio a few weeks back and saying, oh, he's an old boxing guy. I think he's taking care of her very, very well. But where would you go from here for Holly?
Well, that depends. Do you want to fight this week? If they make a fight this week, she's probably fighting Liz Carmouche. If they hold on until next week, they're probably making a fight saying she's taking on Betch Correia. If you wait 7 weeks, you're making a matchup with Cyborg.
I like the Betch matchup just because that's a highlight reel.
So it's a good chance to score a highlight reel knockout over a former title contender who, at this point, only would have one loss to her record. It's a bona fide substantial win.
And it's not like Holly's gonna move up in the rankings because she's number one.
She's number one right now.
She's number one. There's nobody above her besides the champion who I believe, really did take that, and say, no, I don't think she wanted another piece of Holly. I think she knew she was losing 3-1 and losing the fifth round, and she threw up Doug Flutie.
I seriously think that even saving face, that Misha thinks twice when she says, I'd fight Cyborg after the kind of fight she went through with Holly.
Cyborg would smash her in a heartbeat. Cyborg might smash everybody but Holly in that division. And that's just the honest truth.
Footwork,
Styles
and that's
make
boxing,
Styles
and that's
make
movement.
fight. And I think Holly has her number, and I think Holly has Ronda's number every time out. There's no question. Ronda Rousey's going to get the title shot, you think, in November, correct?
November, December, something like that they're going to do.
And again, why should she get the title shot? She got blasted. There was no questions about
They
her
love
face
her.
planting.
There's this Dana White holding his baby, loving her close. There is that she brought in the division. There is that she brought in the national media.
They
There's
handed
this
her the title.
IOU whole deal. She did go undefeated for so long. Whether you think it's right or not, it's what's going to happen. I'm just calling that one like I called Amanda Nunes.
Interesting. Michael, let's go ahead and move on. Let's talk about yesterday, or Sunday, I should say. There was UFC Fight Night 86, Rothwell JDS. Go ahead and break us down real quick with that.
Well, we'll start out at the bottom. Borjan Velelicic won a unanimous decision over Alessio De Chico. We had Jared Cannonier, who at 240 pounds, following this first round huge knockout win over C.R. Asker, says he's going to move down to light heavyweight. It was a beautiful overhand left. Referee negligence caused a little more damage to C.R. as Jared followed up to the ground, landed some nasty elbows. The fight should have been a one-punch knockout. Bad refereeing. Lucas Martins at featherweight takes a unanimous decision win. The kid's a devastating striker, someone that can keep moving up that featherweight rankings. But he fought in this fight tentatively after losing a pair, thought his job was on the line, came out with a big win. Damian Stancic took down and submitted Croatia's hometown hero, Filo Bijic, and Bijic got submitted very quickly. That was devastating for the crowd. You had Maribek Taisimov, who people do not know, but you need to know him because he's won 4 straight in the UFC lightweight division, all via TKO. He was taking on a debuter. I think this is one of those things where can you handle being moved up the card, but top 15, top 20, that's where Tysonbek Mironov has got to go. He is a devastating striker who we keep hearing about a ground game, but he's coming from that camp led by Roger Mortha, Tiger Muay Thai, and that's what we see as his striking. Interesting right there. Zach Cummings, if you remember him from Tough, he now dropped down to welterweight, has won his second in a row, a unanimous decision over Nicholas Dalby, who Dalby from the Netherlands, the kid just has heart. He keeps fighting. The main card opened up with Marion Moroz, who's in the strawweight division, getting her second straight UFC win. She's actually, they announced, a coach for the Ukraine boxing, women's national boxing team. So, interesting striker right there, moving up. She's in the top 10. Jan Balaudric beat, again, Croatia's own Igor Pokarac in a fight that was a really grind-em-up one. Then we went to the heavyweights. Timothy Johnson, if you have not had a chance to check this man out, glorious mustache. Glorious mustache. People go crazy about the mustache that he has. He grinded out a win over Marcin Tybur and ended up, looked like he blew out his elbow in the third round. There was a nasty, just swollen left elbow. If you also can look at Tim Johnson after the fight, a swollen left eye, he took a head kick but toughed it out in the third round. Making statements. Francis Ngannou, who from Africa moved to France. He trains with former Bellator champion Christian Mpumu. Devastating hands. Curtis Blades, a Division II wrestling champion, had no chance of getting inside. The fight ends with a second round doctor stoppage, big left hooks and uppercuts, and Francis Ngannou closed down Blades' eyes. It's his second win by knockout. That's the way to do it in the heavyweight division. The co-main event, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, once he got his hands on Gabriel Gonzaga, it just destroyed him. It's the beast. It's ungodly, raw power. It's unlearnable, the kind of touch you go down power he has. Gonzaga tried to get the fight to the floor, almost had the back, lost position, was holding Lewis against the cage. The ref broke him up. Lewis forced Gonzaga back to the cage, came in with the flurry, caught him with a right hooking kind of uppercut, and Gonzaga went down in a disturbing out fashion 12 seconds before the round was gonna end. And then our main event, the resurrection of Junior Dos Santos. I was wrong. I thought Rothwell had found a new mentality, a new way. I thought he was going to come forward, pressure, put a lot of punches on Dos Santos, and make him feel uncomfortable and put him on his back. Well, that didn't happen. Dos Santos returned to his old ways, beautiful footwork. The squared up stance of Ben Rothwell was just eaten apart with body shots. Dos Santos jabbed the body, jabbed the face. A unanimous decision win, dominant, 50-45. Ben Rothwell did not seem to be the man that had won 4 fights in a row. He did not show up. He blew his opportunity. Title fight on the line right here. Everything that he's worked for his whole career, and he did not show up. He threw some nice kicks, and Dos Santos did not care about his legs. He kept moving. Beautiful footwork. I don't think we've seen a heavyweight resurgence like this. I mean, Dos Santos, even in victory in his last couple fights, had taken a plethora of damage. I mean, the Miocic fight was just devastating on both areas. I mean, he took damage against Mark Hunt, and then this was pre-that. This was Junior Dos Santos before the first Cain Velasquez fight. This was him at the peak of his game, didn't take much damage, beautiful movement, stayed on his punches. What did you think, Sal?
I think Dos Santos looked good for what he is. I don't think he's one of the top. I really don't. I think he gets in with one of the top, and he's gonna get blasted through again.
So were we rushing it saying that
Yeah,
Rothwell was a top heavyweight?
Well, yes and no. Yeah, yes and no. I mean, yeah, he beat Josh Barnett. Who else? Travis Brown.
Josh Barnett, Travis Brown, Brandon Vera, and I'm trying to remember who the other bona fide win was against.
Brandon Vera's a blown up 205.
Yeah,
Josh
Overeem.
Barnett.
There was the Overeem win. That's
Josh
what it was.
Barnett, he got lucky. You know, that was a lucky submission.
Overeem, Brown, and Barnett. Those were the 3 big wins.
And so I mean, he has some, but you know, I think, like you said, Ben Rothwell looked a little heavier than
He looked a little heavy. He looked unmotivated somehow.
You said even when he was walking into the cage, he didn't look.
He didn't look motivated. He didn't look angry. He didn't look mean. He didn't look like that guy that had declared war on the heavyweight division.
And you know, sometimes it happens. Sometimes you come out just flat-footed and you're in quicksand. You know, nothing is gonna go right. No matter what you do, no matter how much you struggle, you're still sinking.
Now, as we talked
and it kind of looked like that for the 5 rounds. So to me, styles always make fights, and I think Junior Dos Santos, I just don't see.
Now, here's the scary thought. Where does JDS go from here? He's coming off of win. We can look at the heavyweight division if you want to, but
Arlovsky Overeem winner.
well, see, there's the thing. Do you really make Overeem take the rematch? Because here's the interesting thing. Rothwell just shit the pot, dropped it. The new number 1 contender is Alistair Overeem if he beats Andrei Arlovsky. If Overeem wins, he can fight either guy. We know him and Verdum hate each other from Strikeforce and Pride. There's a lot of hype on that fight.
But you're forgetting the former champion.
If you think they give Velasquez a title shot right away if he beats Brown.
I think they're trying to see if his back's
Well, see,
okay.
here's the problem with our theories, though.
I think they're testing his back to see if it's okay, one, and if he could make it through a camp.
That's a possibility, and I'm just talking about the UFC, how they've been rolling out fights so frequently lately. Here's the thought. Overeem fights in 2 weeks, fights on the 8th. The 14th is when Verdum fights. If Overeem wins and Verdum wins, that's an easy fight to make because you still got 2 months till Velasquez fights in December. In July at 200. So that's what I'm saying. Timelines could lead to that. But if Arlovsky wins, the worst thing he could see is a Miocic wins. Because Arlovsky Verdum is possible. But if Miocic wins and Arlovsky wins, you possibly, as scary it is to say it, and we're saying that he's not ready to hang with the best, you could feasibly get JDS versus Miocic for a world heavyweight title signed before Velasquez even gets in the cage because JDS holds a win over Miocic and there'd be nobody left in the top 10, especially with Frank Mir having tested dirty. Who cares about about Struve versus Bigfoot, and then you also have that Hunt already got blasted by Miocic. You could have JDS in a title fight.
I see your argument, but again, money talks, bullshit walks, and Cain Velasquez can make the UFC money with a title shot coming back. They've already pumped him up before. If they're going into Mexico again, you know how they love to use him for their Mexico cards.
But how nervous are you that he shows up injured, wants to fight, and Brown catches him with an elbow?
I mean, it could happen. And the interesting thing with that is the takedowns. With the back injury, if your back is messed up, it's harder than heck to get a takedown.
And can you press forward that whole time holding a big guy, 6'7", Travin Brown against the cage? If your shoulder, if your knee, if your back are not right, because Cain's just had a plethora of injuries.
The only other thing that I can say is Travis's camp, or non-existing camp, he hasn't looked very good moving to Glendale Fight Club.
How could he? There's nobody there for him to train with. There's nobody 200-something pounds coming out of that team.
You know, I'm sure he regretted making the move in some sense if he really is true to himself. I'm hearing the move was because he was complaining about having to pay the same percentage as anybody else to get privates with certain coaches here. I don't know for sure. I just heard rumors of that, and but I think it also had to do with his girlfriend. You know.
And then I gotta throw it out. We've been talking about this other stuff coming up. It's a lot of intrigue, right? I love playing these. You can just talk about it, games.
Absolutely.
And then, do we want to get on to what's happening this weekend?
I want to hear what you got to say.
Oh no, I was just thinking that it's a lot of fun playing all these matchups. What could possibly happen? How the UFC has missed some of these opportunities, and you can match make and move things around. It's just interesting seeing all of it. And the heavyweight division right now sits at the pinnacle of interesting because no one's on a big win streak now. Everyone, it really does feel kind of level, even if there is a champion.
You know what 37-year-old I want to see back in the cage?
Which one?
BJ Penn. He's been here training his ass off for a while now, which is surprising because from what I've heard and what everybody has heard, I mean, it's well documented, this guy will stay only for a certain amount of time and then want to go back home.
And he's been here for 2 months.
He's been here solid. He's been training. I want to see him back in the cage. I'm wondering what's going to happen. I'm hearing Melky Kawa, or however you say his last name. John Jones' manager is actually taking over the management duties. So I'm sure with that guy, love him or hate him,
he gets things done.
Will get things done for the fighters. And so I'm interested. I've heard GSP rumors. I've heard Conor McGregor rumors. And before the fight with Nate Diaz, I've heard Robbie Lawler. I've heard craziness. From what I understand, it's BJ wants to fight anybody, anytime, any place. It's typical old school BJ.
How about we wait till after July and we put Diaz Penn together? That made me the most happy. I'm serious here. I don't even care which Diaz it is. But let's put it that way. Even I think let's forget that. When does Nick get off suspension? Can we do Nick versus BJ? That sounds fun. That's a give a shit fight right there. That's just fun.
Yeah, but I think Diaz coming off is probably going to get a title shot.
You think so? You think he goes right for Lawler?
I don't see why the UFC wouldn't do that. Match.
Talking about
being that he's the last guy to knock him out cold. And him coming off suspension and let his mouth open up. Money.
You know, guys spend way too much time on the set of UFC on Fox, I think, because Tyrone Woodley just gets up there and talks about wanting a title fight, but don't get in the octagon. And does that dude know what kind of detriment he's doing in his career, wasting the peak of his athletic prime? Does he understand what he's doing, just sitting there complaining, not doing anything?
I don't know. I think when the checks start rolling in and you stop getting punched in the face, I think that softens you up. And speaking of that, let's jump over to the UFC Fight Night. This happened this Saturday. You know, Rashad Evans, he's a commentator as well for Fox, and he's done a phenomenal job. He used to train here. Hearing rumors he may want to come back. Chris Luttrell was out there in Florida helping him work on his MMA wrestling, tightening that game up, which is nice. But I'm hearing that he possibly wants to come back to Albuquerque. I don't know for sure. You never know. You know, rumors are rumors. That's why they're not fact. But I think this is the wrong fight for
a betting. If you're looking at betting, doing picks, something like that, it's hard against it's hard to go against Glover Teixeira in this matchup. He has heavy hips, and he hits like a mad truck, and Rashad Evans has not looked good since beating up Tito Ortiz. That was a while ago.
Yeah, the knee, the rust. I mean, he did. I wish he never fought Ryan Bader coming right back. That was totally the wrong matchup. I mean, Ryan Bader was consistently in the cage for that whole time he was out, and he looked like 3 steps slower than Ryan Bader, and that could be the ring rust. If Rashad can get back to what he's known for, he has a shot.
If he gets stuck in a bad situation or a little phone booth
He could go
in front of Glover Teixeira, it's going to be a bad night. But
it could
there's
be
a chance that we could see the resurgence.
It could be a meme.
It could be a meme of a knockout, or it could be the resurgence of an athletically gifted fighter. But I just, in the pit of my stomach, don't have a good feeling for Rashad Evans. The co-main event, the new co-main event, Lyoto Machida, Dan Henderson, 185 pounds. Lyoto Machida's problem at 185 pounds is he is not as fast as these 25-year-olds. His best attribute at 205 was that he was faster than everybody. Well, good Lord for him, he's going to be faster than Dan Henderson. So he has a chance to win it, but that chance can all go downhill with one H-bomb.
Yeah, that overhand right. I don't care what round it is. I mean,
isn't this a rematch?
Yeah.
Didn't Machida win the first one?
I don't think so. I don't know.
I don't remember. We have to look this up. This is horrible on our part here.
There's too many fights.
There's too many fights, but I swear this is a
UFC
rematch.
fights, too many. You just don't know. Let's see.
Keep going down right here on the left. It should pop up his last few.
Give me a second.
Give us 1 second here. Dan Henderson.
Oh, he did win.
A split decision victory for Lyoto Machida. It's a close fight, and I can't see it playing out any other way. Henderson's going to stalk forward, look to land the big shot. Machida's going to try to pick him apart, bob and move.
Which is crazy because Dan Henderson is an Olympic level wrestler.
If this fight was like...
He never uses it.
And here's the best part. You know, like UFC events, how they'll have sometimes the big cage and usually the tough finales have the small cage?
Yeah.
If this was a small cage fight, it's Henderson's to lose. If every fight was in a small cage, Henderson could be the world champion. Big cage, this is a Machida fight. Too much space to cover. You can't catch up with him.
Interesting. Mr. I Know a Guy offered to step in.
I don't know why they didn't let him. I mean, Khabib Nurmagomedov said he was down to fight Cerrone. I'm so sad that Tony Ferguson is injured. Ferguson Nurmagomedov would have been a great fight. But, hey, Donald Cerrone said he would step in and fight Khabib just as long as they'd still let him fight in June against Patrick Cote because they know he's not going to get injured. He knows he's not going to get injured.
And I don't know.
And they wouldn't allow him.
Even if he does get injured, he has time.
He doesn't care anyway. But the UFC would not allow it. And instead, Daryl Horcher, who I remember hearing his name from maybe Bellator or who's the Tachi Fight Palace, I believe, is going to step up now on day's notice and take on Khabib Nurmagomedov. Nurmagomedov, I don't know what Horcher's strong points are, but if it's not wrestling, he's going to get picked up, dumped, thrown around on his head, and the Eagle is going to now be 7-0 in the UFC, 23-0, and waiting for a real big fight.
I see the same outcome. I mean, you just mentioned it. The guy is going to be too much, too fast, too good, just a step above.
I want to get excited for this one. Thug Rose Namajunas, Tiny Tornado, Tisha Torres. The winner of this could be the next strawweight #1 contender. You've got Torres, who's only been a decision machine in her career, but she has a decision win in Invicta over Thug Rose, who's just been a finisher. If Torres can keep the distance, implement her game plan, get safe takedowns at the end of rounds, she can win. Thug Rose is going to go in there, look to hurt her, and look to get a submission.
Early prelim.
Early prelim. The Magician closes out the Fight Pass prelims. John Dodson believes he's going to be the fastest man at 135 pounds, taking on Manny the Anvil Gambirian, who believes he's the strongest man at 135 pounds. I think John Dodson is going to put on a clinic and win by decision. Gambirian's hard to finish, but Dodson has the speed advantage, and speed does kill. Also on the card, a guy that spent a lot of time out here in the Fox prelims, Cub Swanson, Hakron Diaz. Is this do or die for Cub Swanson?
I don't know if it's do or die, but I think He's even mentioned recently that he took off from Jackson's for a little bit. He was upset with some things. I don't know what it was. I don't care what it was. But he said he had guys in his corner for his last fight that didn't know anything about him, never saw him spar. So it's good to see him back. I think you're going to see the same old Cub Swanson that you saw prior to the last fight come out, get the win. And
he's fighting a one-dimensional guy. This is Cub's fight to lose. I like Hakron Diaz, but his striking has never caught up to his grappling. And then also, what I think is going to steal the undercard, you got Beneil Dariush, Michael Chiesa. If you're into grappling, this is going to be a technical battle at lightweight.
It'll be an interesting fight card. It's UFC on Fox.
19.
So there's Fox Sports 1 and then there's Fox. It's actually Channel 2 here in Albuquerque, New Mexico.
This is going to be on Fight Pass and then just over to Big Fox prelims and the main card. So you got that one on Saturday. Friday night, if you get a chance on Access TV, there's RFA 30. They have 2 title fights, crowning a lightweight champion, a bantamweight title defense, and also you get a chance on Saturday on Fight Pass. Is the what would we call it? It's the Super Fight Series for Glory. It's Glory 29 in Copenhagen. Nicky Holtzkin defending his welterweight title. Also, you got Anderson Braddock Silva, a heavyweight on there. And on the Fight Pass portion, you have a knockout artist, Zach Mulikasa. You know how I love my kickboxing.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. USDA strikes again.
Oh, Frank Mir. Frank Mir.
The kangaroo meat. He's taking a page out of Alistair Overeem's book of eating horse meat. It's kangaroo meat. He's saying possibly.
What's happening now?
Yeah, pretty much. So the United States Anti-Doping Agency, he got flagged for something. I don't know exactly what it was, but
they haven't really even announced it. Right?
Oh, I'm sorry. It was flagged for anabolic steroids. I just.
Oh, Mir's been flagged for anabolic steroids. This is a bad look on him. He said if anything comes down from this, he's probably going to retire. Do you take an anabolic steroid guy who gets this? Does he have a career now? Does this black mark him from ESPN, from Fox Sports? Because that would be the next logical step. And I believe this is the end. I love Frank Mir, but this is the end.
No, I don't think it is in the sense of commentating. Somebody's will pick him up. He's phenomenal. WEC, go back.
Phenomenal. I'm sad they haven't had him more.
Go on Fight Pass. Look at him and Jens Pulver. I wish they would bring back Jens Pulver also to do some of the maybe rotate him in for the lighter weights because he's so passionate about it.
I even remember that Stephan Bonner wasn't bad on WEC, and compared to some of these guys that got up on Fox.
A lot of them are garbage, and there's a lot of good. I still say Jens Pulver, bring him in as a special analyst for the lighter weights. You know what I mean? He's well spoken. He does it. Frank Mir can break down fights like nobody else. Like, you know how they do on football on NFL Sunday where they break down the keys to victory and they show it and stuff. This guy can be that guy for Fox Sports, or ESPN, depending on how the deal goes and stuff like that. Wink, wink. But it could happen. I don't know. USDA is flagging a lot of fighters, and you're seeing a trend lately where these guys are coming back.
Well, here in a little bit, we're going to talk to Tim Means, and we're going to hear him say how long the process is taking, because there's a process. Even once you get to getting sentenced for whatever, there's all this retroactive time because the process does take months. So we'll see where this plays out. I mean, we're playing on the end of Frank Mir's career anyway, and following the loss to Marcon, a lot of other media circuits were saying, what does he have left to prove? And I'm just like, he's going to fight as long as he wants to, because we've seen from Bellator, if guys got the itch, they're just going to fight.
I don't see Frank being a guy that go to Bellator. I really don't. I'd be super shocked.
Well, I don't see the UFC letting him go. I see him retiring or having a smaller suspension and possibly continuing on. But if it's a full 2 years, like he said himself, he will retire. So yeah. I almost think it's time for him to retire anyway, because I'm not sure who there is left for him to fight coming off the loss anyway.
And there's no shame. He's had a Hall of Fame career. Listen, folks, if you haven't Googled Frank Mir, besides this garbage that just came on, which I am not a judge. I am not the jury. I am not the executioner by any means. That's why I say these guys are all innocent until proven guilty in my book. Especially with Tim Means' situation, I stated that whenever I said look, this guy has had such a troubled past. I doubt he's going to wreck his positive future and what he's been doing in the community. This guy isn't fake. He's going to tell it how it is, tell it how it was. He doesn't hide shit from nobody. And he's an all-around decent guy. I doubt he's going to do that to hurt himself. I would be shocked to see if Timmy did that.
I'd be shocked about Frank Mir, too. Some
Frank,
of these guys...
Frank, I can see it because he's used TRT before. He had that exemption while it was there.
And you think he needed a little more?
Could have. But listen, if you Google Frank, like I was saying, look at his past history of him getting in that motorcycle accident. Of him even stepping back in the cage is a feat all of its own. This guy basically was the baddest man alive as a heavyweight until that motorcycle accident. You got a motorcycle, get rid of it after you read that story about Frank Mir. You know? And to come back, win the interim title, correct? Did he win the actual heavyweight title when he fought Nogueira?
I think he won the heavyweight title.
So he to come back to that comeback story, you know, and there is nothing left for him to prove. He's a Hall of Famer. First time in. If they had to do ballots, he would be a first ballot Hall of Famer.
I concur. I'm just, as we're sitting here talking about this, I'm thinking about the Nogueira fights and the highlights of his career, and those reasons. I mean, amazing fighter, amazing heavyweight. Too bad we couldn't see what would have happened if there wasn't that accident. But things happen for a reason. It's a Hall of Fame career.
Eddie Bravo Invitationals are coming up. These submission-only grappling tournaments. These guys are getting paid decent cash, coin. He could do that for fun on the side. Are you kidding me? You know how much cool shit that would be to see Frank Mir in a grappling match? Especially, like you just said, Nogueira. One of the best black belts there is in MMA. And he broke his arm. People forget that.
Let's think about a fun argument. Who's the best heavyweight, submission artist of all time? You got guys like Josh Barnett. You got Frank Mir. You got Nogueira. You got Verdun.
Go Frank versus Josh Barnett, who went on a tear in Metamoris.
In a grappling match. There's still a lot of competitive
UFC
future,
Fight Pass.
but I don't know if there's many fights in the cage left for Frank Mir.
My point is, it doesn't have to be there. He still got some commentating. He could go and do commentating for Fight Passes stuff and whatnot, whether it be Eddie Bravo Invitational, Glory. I mean, he's phenomenal at breaking down fights. I really see that as his future.
Talking about Fight Pass, they just keep adding new stuff. I heard there's now even Brace. I don't even know who they are, what they bring, but Brace will have an event. I'm guessing it's MMA. You've got Victory. You've got Titan. Fight Pass is becoming a monster on having live events.
And folks, the USDA is something new for these guys, and there's athletes like they're doing it almost like Olympic level style stuff. So the Olympic athletes are used to it. The mixed martial arts athletes, they're not used to it. And these supplement companies can put stuff in there. It's a pharmaceutical lab. It can possibly happen.
And an interesting side note to that, Yoel Romero, the rumors are going around, it looks like he's only going to have a retroactive 6-month suspension because what he tested positive for was in the supplement. It was not on the label, but he still put it in his system. So, fingers crossed, my thoughts, I'm pretty sure that's the announcement we're going to get about Tim Means, and it just makes you raise your eyebrows and wonders throughout the year or years, how many of these cases are we going to have where it's the supplement companies who are turning out to be the bad guys? And there needs to be more than that. Even just if they're putting anabolic steroids in there. What about on the nutritional side if it's not having all the protein, all the carbohydrate, all the sugars? How about just that misleadingness that it's giving? This could be much bigger than just some dirty fighters.
This is growing pains for this. With the United States Anti-Doping Agency coming in and doing the testing and whatnot, you're seeing a new thing that's happening. It's not that every single fighter's on everything, this, that, and the other, because there's some that are and some that are not. And with the supplement companies, absolutely. You honestly, you can do as much research as you possibly can, but you're going to take the word of a nutritionist. You're going to take the word of a supplement provider of somebody you trust, whether I ask questions or not, professional in those supplement markets. You're gonna ask these people these questions. And honestly, here at the Fight Shop in New Mexico, when somebody comes in and asks me about a certain product and they say, hey, will I get popped? I tell them, you know what? I honestly don't know.
I didn't design it.
I
don't work for that company.
I can't guarantee nothing. I said, you could eat something. You could eat poppy seeds, and you could pop for something. Higher levels, right when you take your test. It could be something crazy like that. I don't know. I can't guarantee nothing. It's just like life. Nothing in life is guaranteed, and that's just the way it is.
We've been talking a lot of MMA, and we talked about this past weekend. We should also side note and congratulate Manny Pacquiao, another unanimous decision win over Tim Bradley, and reportedly winning that WBO welterweight title will be the last title win of his career. Pacquiao plans to retire, I think I heard.
Good luck, farewell.
Congratulations on a successful career.
Become the president of your country, because that's where everything's leaning towards, and that's what I'm hearing. That's what he's going to go for.
He's been a political power congressman for a long time.
And whatnot. So,
hopefully he does good work in the Philippines there.
As far as him saying that he wants to fight Floyd Mayweather's got so much money, and I don't see it happening. I think the same outcome happens every time out with those two.
The biggest disappointment in the planet. I'm good. Like I said, congratulations. I did not bother watching this fight.
Neither did I. And it'll be interesting to see the numbers. And I think Floyd's going to look at the numbers. And if he made good numbers, then maybe we could talk. Because Floyd's all about the money. But if he didn't, then that's the end of it. It's cut off. It's over. Go do your political thing. Floyd's going to throw up his money and do whatever he's doing with his Mayweather promotions. And farewell from there.
No Mayweather, no Pacquiao in boxing anymore. It's Canelo Alvarez, Triple G. Is that it? Is that the names?
Canelo Alvarez, Triple G, Andre Ward. You got some heavyweights. Deontay Wilder from the United States who holds the title. You got a Cuban boxer, Ortiz. I forget, the real King Kong. He's an up and comer who's not. Well, I shouldn't say he's up and comer because he's older. He's a Cuban refugee who came in and has like 400 or 500 amateur fights, but he's knocking fools out left and right coming up. You still got the Klitschko's hanging on to whatever they got left, and I think they're almost done themselves. So it's interesting. It's a transition. You're going to see new stars. It's just like anything else. You know, everybody panicked when Hoist left. Everybody panicked when Coleman left, and Mark Kerr, and then Randy Couture, and then Chuck Liddell, and then Tito Ortiz. And the list goes on and on and on.
There's always going to be new, explosive young talent
going to come up. We got to actually take a quick break, run through our commercials, our sponsors, thank everybody, the Fight Shop New Mexico.
International Strategic Partners.
And then we're going to come back with a special interview.
We're going to get to talk with the Dirty Bird. We're talking about supplements. We're talking about drug tests. We're going to talk to Tim Means, who's going through all that right now. He joins us on the DC Life Uncensored when we come back.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security patrol and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063, or online at callisp.com. The DC Life Uncensored is back. I'm Micah Frankel, and right now I get to talk with the Dirty Bird. Tim Means joins us on the phone on our ISP hotline. Tim, how you doing?
I'm good, Micah. What's going on, guys?
It's a pleasure to talk to you. So what's up right now? Where are you at in the whole process with USADA, where finding out where you're at? What's going on?
They located where it came from, and They said a few weeks back they were getting paperwork done. They've done more tests, so now we're coming into arbitration in the next this Friday or the following Friday, and they're trying to wrap up their paperwork. I don't feel the 2-year suspension is going to happen, but their defense is you're still responsible for what you put into your body, even if it's not listed in a label. So now it's just waiting for them to just get their paperwork done, man. And it's really taking a little bit longer than I wanted to, but at the same time, Jeff Levinsky and Onye with USADA, they've really done everything that they possibly could on locating the product or locating the issue at hand. And they probably could just shut the book on me and said, hey, you failed. But they really reached out and talked to the experts and done what they're supposed to help clear my name and get me back into competing. We're shooting for this year. So with that being said, I still can't talk a whole lot about all the details at the moment, but they've built a very strong case for me going into arbitration.
Now, case-by-case basis, I know, but rumors are swirling that Yoel Romero has gotten to the point where with his case, individual case, that it looks like it was in the supplement, and he is going to have a 6-month ban, and that'll probably be, I guess, retroactive to when they first told everybody about it. So would that be a possibility for you, something like that?
Yeah, I think I want to get time served. You know what I mean? I didn't even know what I was taking. I told them as soon as they showed up for the drug test, I listed what supplements I took. USADA and Jeff Nowitzki are the ones that had me send the pictures of all my supplements. They took pictures of those, or they went through those pictures, and they're the ones that red flagged the potential supplement that they thought was the issue. And they really been helping me, man. My lips are just kind of sealed on the things I can talk about right now, but it is leaning in my favor. And the dangers in the supplement world are definitely being exposed, and fighters. Other athletes, college athletes have had these issues. Other Olympians have had these issues, and I think the FDA and the supplement world need to come to an understanding that they're ruining people's lives at this point. My wife and I are out a good chunk of change, so I want to talk about it, and I want to kick people back in the balls right now. But paperwork isn't done; they're still doing an investigation, and they're helping make me look good at the end of the day. So. I didn't cheat. The amount they found in my system was so tiny, it doesn't even benefit me athletically. So it is what it is, man. Wait for USADA to get their paperwork done and let them present the facts that they've come up with.
So as far as the supplements go, don't know what you can and can't talk about, but are you done with that world? Are you done taking things? And if you are, what have you done in your diet to then counteract and get the nutrients you need?
The nutrients I've got now, I just kind of got another job, doing all day work and not really thinking about it, and I'm able to stay lean that way. I don't get to eat all damn day. Supplement world, and until individuals can say that, like the Drug Enforcement Division with the UFC, they can't tell you that you can and can't take supplements legally. But I'm definitely not leaning towards the supplement world. They're going to have to come with more than just a label for me to trust in that world again. So I've stopped taking supplements as of February 3rd, as soon as I found out about this. And actually, they sent me a whole bunch of research on the supplement world, and the things I've learned about it is I just kind of want to punch myself in the mouth for having to take this route to ultimately learn about it. I trusted in an individual that said they knew it. They knew what was in the supplement, and they stood by it. And when all this kind of hit the fan, they're the only ones to jump off ship and run away. So I've put a good amount of good people around me, and it makes me feel good knowing that I have people that do believe in me and that do trust me. We've had one individual be a turd in the grass, so I'm thankful for that. It's good people around me, and I learned the hard way the first time when I got in my legal trouble that I didn't have the friends that said they were my friends. So there's a lot of positive things come out of this, and like I said, I want to fight July or August, so I'm shooting for that.
So this is a beware for all other athletes, really. What's on the label may not be what's in the product.
Yeah, they've done a few tests that I'm aware of where supplements are coming back. Proteins have 30 grams of protein listed in the label. They're coming back with like 7 grams of protein. The rest is fillers like baking soda and stuff. So these people are lying to make a dollar to save cost on making the product, and in return, these athletes, in my case, I got popped by USADA, who's taking it very serious, and I can honestly lean towards USADA wanting to clean up the sport. Like I said, they caught a drug in my system. They could have easily threw the book at me and said, "Hey, get out of here, 24 months." But they believed me right out the gate, and they didn't have any reason not to believe me, and they reached out for me, and they found the issue in the supplement I was taking. So I wish the paperwork would hurry up and get done, but at the same time, they're doing a thorough job. They're putting all the pieces in the puzzle together, and I'm going to be able to go to arbitration and have some real facts and not just opinions or speculation behind my argument. They have real facts, and we're going to prove that about how shady the supplement world really is.
The people you trusted, how it's went down. Can you explain emotionally what that's done, the trust that you put in them, and then having that violated and having this disrupt the momentum that your career was on?
Man, I busted my ass to this point. I was in family court for my daughters, and a whole bunch of stuff's going on at this time in my life, and it was just something I didn't need to come out of left field and be like, "Hey, you're a steroid user," So I can laugh about that stuff because it's absolutely ridiculous. It just made me open my eyes to what. I honestly didn't know what I was putting into my body, so I can see where I'm responsible, but for what I put into my body. But at the same time, these companies are making a dollar bill off individuals to trust in their labels. And the emotion I was going through at the time, I didn't need to be in fight mode, so I kind of quit going to the gym, except to teach class here and there. And then I got a job out in Leardy, welding and doing grunt work. So I went from a trade that I was good at. I was decent at throwing blows and building a little bit of a name. It's a job I enjoyed. I went to another job to where I'm at the bottom of the totem pole. Dudes talking trash to you, and I'm not good at that job. I'm very, very bad. So it's a very humbling experience, man. So I'm looking forward to getting back to what I was doing and just enjoying what I do, my job, and just life in general. So where the curveballs are, it's life for you.
So with being in this limbo, waiting for them to accomplish this paperwork process, and with you working, have you been able to return yet to some semblance of a full-time training schedule?
I just got done boxing. I'm eating some of my food in the car on my way to anger management class that, I need to be doing right now. So, man, I can't complain right now. Like, I'm getting to box. It's still something I love to do. I think I trained three days last week, I think. So it's not completely not happening. I'm light right now. I could probably make 170 tomorrow if I had to. So, man, I'm just gonna take the positives out of this. Try not to be grumpy all the damn time because that sucks being mad all the time. So, it's good. It's medicine to be in the gym. So I'm trying to get there more. Starting Monday off, back in the boxing gym with Arlene and back in fit. So that's how I remember that stuff makes me happy. That type of work. So
I saw you a couple weeks ago at King of the Cage, but that's there supporting your teammates. Have you been able yet with this process, been able to turn on the TV and watch a UFC fight, or is that a sore spot right now?
No, I'm not mad at the UFC at all.
Well, I just meant more like, damn, I want to be there. I can't watch this. It's making me sick because I want to be there and I know I should.
Yeah, I kind of didn't watch the fights there for a few weeks or whatever, but I dipped into, having to watch Conor McGregor and Diaz, and then, Holly was on that, Holly was on that card, so went hung out with Mike Adams and those guys to watch those fights, so, it was a good time. Fights bring good memories for me, so, it's something I need to keep in my life, a good time, so it's something I enjoy, and I got to remember that in life you can't just kind of forget about your passions and the things you enjoy doing. You got to keep those in your life, and even responsibilities, you got to keep doing things that are good for you, so I want to be in there, like you said, and I can't not watch it because the division's changing every day, and there's badasses coming out the woodwork, or, moving up the rankings. So I got to keep doing my homework and be ready whenever this blows over.
I got to thank you for the time, Tim. Wanted to give you some time. I know a lot of people were probably harassing you at the beginning. Got a comment from you. Again, we thank you for coming on the DC Life. We can't wait to hear, the clarity to this situation, see you back in action. Last thing, who do you need to shout out to?
Always my team. I need to thank my wife. She's been dealing with my grumpy ass a lot lately, so I thank her. She's been working hard, trying to get herself a fight. Take care of the girls we have and the boys. So definitely, I thank my wife, Brenda. Thank the fans and the positive feedback that has come back from this negative issue. And just the friends and family that have always been supportive, even when it was bad. So good times to bad times. Just thank everyone who supported for me.
Tim Means, thank you for the time, sir.
Thank you, Michael. Bye.
Bye. That was UFC welterweight Tim the Dirty Bird Means. Again, we believe that there was more to the story than just that he was a dirty fighter. We've always supported the Dirty Bird here, all New Mexico fighters. That great interview was brought to you by our ISP hotline. Call ISP.com for all your security needs. And there'll be more DC Life Uncensored after these messages. ISP, that's International Strategic Partners. When you think protection in New Mexico, you should think ISP, not your everyday security company, offering background checks, self-defense courses, handgun, firearm licensing, and a plethora of security patrol and investigation options. Call us at 505-255-6063. That's 505-255-6063 or online at callisp.com.
The Fight Shop New Mexico in the Montano Plaza Shopping Center, located off Coors and Montano.
And we're back. This is the DC Life Uncensored. And Micah, you got an insight into what Timmy's going to do moving forward. Sounds like his resolution is coming pretty soon.
Sooner than later. Hopefully we'll get this all.
And me and you talked after the break and stuff like that, and we said, we assume there's probably already a resolution. He just can't really say about it.
It looks like that, kind of.
And according to Twitter and his feed and watching his social media handles and stuff like that, it looks like he's already asking for fights.
July, August, can't wait to see Tim Means back in there.
But let's go ahead. It's time. It's the CageMinds.com local scene. Go ahead and touch on it and run through it.
Well, before the locals, my bad, I forgot to touch on it. It is up on CageMinds.com. Invicta in Glory, new signee. She's had 3 Muay Thai titles around the world, and now going to fight at strawweight in Invicta. Debut Glory bringing the women. Tiffany Van Soest joins Frontline Fights, is now joining Glory in Invicta. It's a loss for Access TV and a big coup for Fight Pass to pick up her talents, as she's already been out there and vocal with magazines and a great karate background. Tiffany Van Soest, a name to keep moving forward and to keep thinking about. She will be a big deal for both of those promotions, especially Glory Kickboxing. We have a lot of articles up on CageMinds.com, the UFC stuff, we've been talking about it. Recent legacy results. Diego Lima got back in the winner's circle with a unanimous decision this past weekend in the main event. Bellator has announced Dynamite 2. That's up on CageMinds.com. Sayato Ishii, who's fought a plethora of washed-up UFC heavyweight vets and has lost to Fedor, is going to meet Rampage in the main event. Scott Trade Center, St. Louis, Missouri. We're talking MMA and kickboxing, both Bellator status. Pay attention for that one. We know that there's going to be a huge fight coming up for Invicta. Invicta May 17th. 2 title fights. You got Colleen Schneider and you've got at least the longest reigning bantamweight champion around out there, Tanya Evinger, Olivia Renata Souza, meeting Angela Hill, a tough vet from the UFC. So those are some things going on at CageMinds.com. Now locally, what's going on around town? It's Fight Week this week. Marlowe Kickboxing. Get in touch with Judgment MMA. I know it's going to not be at their new gym. It's going to be at a church somewhere very close to the facility. But that's this weekend, April 16th. Got the following weekend. Yeah. April 23rd, Clovis, Warriors Quest, MMA Amateurs. That is down there. CageMinds.com. We got some interviews with dudes on the card down there. Warriors Quest in Clovis. We have May 14th, 3 events locally going on. King of the K's Resilient, Cortez, Colorado, the Ute Mountain Casino. We also have Holmes Boxing recently announced, Buffalo Thunder, the Showdown May 14th. Also May 14th, Chaos in Clovis, another boxing event. We've got June 25th locally, Buffalo Thunder, Jackson's MMA series, Steven Cervantes and Nick Gonzalez. And that's just what's going on locally for the event. But then, like we already said, John Dotson, Cub Swanson, they trained out here this weekend. They're in action. Latrell Yee MMA's Jordan Espinoza this weekend. Went back home to Ohio. He's going to be in a fight. We also have, coming up on the 23rd, the following weekend, John Jones, Cody East, both from Jackson Winks. They're in action at UFC 197. Andrew Tennyson, April 30th, Adam Martinez, Rubicon 2. Landon Venata may also be on that card. We'll keep you updated if that fight comes to fruition. May 13th, Damasio Page moving up 10 pounds at Legacy 55 to a special bantamweight fight against Ryan Hollis, who's a Legacy and Bellator vet. Following that fight, win, lose, or draw, Damasio dropping back down to 25 to take on Matt Schnell. They will unify the Legacy 125-pound title. We got Fidel Maldonado in action May 20th. Still waiting for confirmation on an opponent for that one. Levi Lucero, May 21st, is up in Grand Junction, Colorado for MMA. Maurice Jackson has got in touch with me. The Hulk, coming off of a big knockout win last weekend in Las Cruces. He has something cooking for June. As soon as we can get more confirmation on that, we'll get to you. And then Josh Pitbull Torres, Mike Alvarado, June 25th. We're still waiting on details and location and televised if it'll be the main event. But the Pitbull, again, like we said, one door closed with Zab Judah, Mike Alvarado, another big one opening. CageMinds.com, and that's our local scene right now, Sal.
It's going to be a busy spring/summer.
We like it hot out here, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. Any last words that you got to say before we go for this week?
If you can locally get out there, do it. Like you said, Judgment MMA, there's a smoker this weekend. Get out and support the future. Brian Lamas and Austin Lewis in the main event, 125-pound Muay Thai fight. That is excitement at this level that you don't normally get to see. Or if you're at home, there's the UFC on Fox for free, too.
Awesome. This is the DC Life Uncensored. Thank you for joining us. We record live every week inside the Fight Shop, New Mexico at 6200 Coors Boulevard Northwest, Suite A4. Thank you all for your business and support of local businesses, local.coms like CageMinds.com, and also
International strategic partners, contact them at callisp.com.
Awesome. Thank you for this week's edition, and we'll see you next week.